one forever. The 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 one forever. I'm getting free of dying, trying, like I'm running out of time. This life is frightening, enlightening, the path is ripening, and my soul is open, vision blinding. Counting these mountains I'ma climb, keeping the stash inside the line in the 100-yard dash, and I'm behind.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unplugged, the resource that encourages you to find hope to overcome any obstacle life throws your way. We don't get to choose the circumstances into which we are born, but we definitely get to determine how we finish the race. My name is Dr. Atlas Hilaire, and this is our first episode to kick off the 25-26 school year. I'm here with Billy Ross, a longtime friend of mine. Billy, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, man, it's a blessing. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is all mine. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, it's crazy because I'm actually writing a lot these days, just trying to put some structure on the clarity that I have. And I think it's really important to have clarity. I used to think that was the thing that got us traction. And I think in a way it is, to be clear about who you are and what you want and where you're trying to go. But I see now that we need the clarity, which is hard to get to, but we also need the structure. We need to sometimes put that structure on ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
because the structure that's available to us is not for us. The structure that the system offers us and was handed to us is not for us. And so sometimes we have to create structure for ourselves. And we also have to heal. Uh, Sometimes all at the same time, which seems impossible to kind of carve out clarity and create structure
Mm-hmm.
and know that your heart is broken because you're carrying the weight of your trauma, and to work that out at the same time. What I'm finding is that it is impossible to do that alone. And so we need community. We need connection. So um, yeah, I'm from the hub. I'm from Compton. Uh, Live in Rancho Cucamonga. I'm a dad and a husband. I hesitate to say I'm a real estate broker because that's not who I am. I help people buy and sell homes. I manage property a little bit. Um, I also do some investment. Um, so I have property that I own for investment purpose. Um, but that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a community dude. I'm a thinking person. I'm a feeling person. I'm a human. I'm a writer. Uh, I'm a speaker. I'm becoming a better listener. So I think that, that kind of stuff gets more to the heart of who I am. And I hope that helps.
Most definitely, most definitely. You mentioned a little bit briefly that you're originally from Compton, California, and we
Hmm.
grew up in the 80s and the 90s,
Yeah,
a
man.
time where I kind of refer to it. It was really like the Wild Wild West. A lot of times people ask me, what's it like being from Compton? And sometimes I say, sometimes it's like the things you see in the movies and TV, some of that stuff was really, really accurate. So
Mm.
you actually lived in the notorious Kelly Park neighborhood. What was that like?
I mean, it was brutal and magical. Like it's crazy because when we moved to that house where I grew up in mostly, that was our second time living in Compton.
Oh, okay.
The first time we lived in Compton, my parents lost their home
Hmm.
to foreclosure. My dad, in a way, gambled it away. Um, and so some of my first memories is not Compton. Some of my first memories is with my grandparents in South Central, my mom's parents, because we moved in with them while my dad put himself through rehab. And what's crazy about that is it was like 8 of us in a 2-bedroom house.
Hmm.
Like I didn't even believe it until I saw it in a meditation. And I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I was like, did that house only have 2 bedrooms? She said, yeah. She said, uh, she said, you slept with mama and daddy. She said, me and the girl slept in the other bedroom and your brothers slept in the living room. I said, oh, wow. And and here we are, we get so fixated on what we ain't got, and man, that house was full of love. And it was like 2 blocks from the hottest hole stroll in LA, like off of 104th and Figueroa. Like we didn't know nothing about it. Dope getting sold, hoeing getting done. It was wild, and there was so much love in that house. And then my pops got out of rehab, came and got us, moved us back to Compton, and I say for about 5-10 years, man, it was just getting out of the hole. I remember being a kid and we didn't have new stuff. Like, always old cars, always old stuff. And I was embarrassed by that. And we were just getting out of the hole. I mean, there surely were people who were poorer than we were, because my pops made good money. He was a longshoreman.
Hmm.
Uh, but we were in such a deep hole that we were
Yeah.
trying to get out of, that everything was thin for a while. And so um, that was tough. Being in the neighborhood and the community that put a 5-year-old me in a position where I saw my oldest brother get beat down and his nose broken in the parking lot. Uh, you know, Jumped and stomped out with my mom screaming, and I can't do nothing about it,
Hmm.
but be frozen because we didn't know the lay of the land, and he was wearing the wrong color in the wrong neighborhood. Like, to see that with my own eyes, uh,
Uh-huh.
you know, to have that kind of stuff happening, and also to have my cousins who lived in Carson want to spend the night at my house because they want to see the lowriders. Like, uh, they want to see the action. They want to feel the energy of it, you
Hmm.
know? So to go out and be a part of it and have my older brothers out there moving and cutting their teeth and earning stripe and kind of being a mascot in that space too. I mean, it was also brilliant. And too, at that time, Compton was like, I think like 90+% black. So to have the full spectrum of blackness, like to see like the grimy elements, the ugly elements, but also to see like the beautiful elements, like it was all there. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So it was, man, it was popping. So it was rough, it was brutal, but like I think we do ourselves and young people a disservice when we say it was all bad,
Hmm.
because it wasn't all bad. Uh, and there's a reason why we get pulled to certain stuff, certain things. Like there's a reason why my pops is a working man, but I'm 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 looking at the dope man as a mentor because
Hmm.
he move and he flashy. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't understand the scope of it. When I'm in it as a child, but there's a reason why I'm pulled to it. Is because it ain't all bad.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, that's complicated. That's paradoxical, but I'm just trying to shoot it straight.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the piece about being drawn to that because I'm in the process of writing a book, and I was talking about some of the things that happen in our neighborhood. I'll say in the hood. For
Yeah.
instance, you had a lot of people, especially in the rap culture, where they'll take the moniker of someone from a movie, and the person in the movie had a tragic end. But it was like,
Uh,
why would they be pulled to have a name of someone? Like people always talk about Capone. And Capone, he died a horrible death. But at the beginning of the movie, he was making things happen. He had this big drug empire. He had a lot of money. He wasn't afraid. He was displaying bravado. So I think that's a big thing in the element of the being in the hood because it's like that looks like, man, that might be my way out. I'm not saying it's good, but that could possibly be my way out. So, what are some of your thoughts on the way that the culture that we were in, the role models that we had to look to?
yeah. I think it's tough because like a fish don't know that it's in water. I mean, it's just
That's
it's
what he
just the nature
does.
of reality. And so if the water is full of life and nourishment, then the fish consumes that and is enveloped by it. But if the water is poisoned, there's an oil spill, um, the fish consumes that too.
Hmm.
And so I think that is, I think it's a tough one, man, because there's the magic and the tragedy of it all. Like when we talk about role models, and such, like my pops was Mr. Ross. He watered his grass with a pistol.
Uh,
Like I've seen my pops, I've seen my dad put hands on people, like in front of my house.
hmm.
Like so, like he carved out a certain amount of respect, and he hated gangs
Hmm.
because he grew up in the projects when LA street gangs were coming online, and he had to fight, and he did, and he got good at fighting and became a soldier, a marine. Um, went to Vietnam, came back, had demons, which is probably why he drank so much and gambled and dug a hole for himself. And so when I think about the complexities of the role models that we had and how it's it was surely a mixed bag. You had cats like my dad. You had cats like Mr. Eccles across the street. You had people who were like they were just hardworking people, man. They were present and doing their best, like on some don't move, improve type stuff. Uh, and then you had people who, for whatever reason, had become toxic and even evil. Some cats they became so cold and numb. Like you only tell your conscience to be quiet so many times
Uh,
until maybe it just stopped talking to you.
yeah.
And then what happens? You you lose an absolutely essential part of your humanity.
Hmm.
You are you have become like a beast, an animal, maybe something human still is alive, but is buried under so many layers. Man, there were grown men around us
Uh-huh.
instructing us on how best to torture and harm each other.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not just instructing us, but pushing us into it so that if we didn't do it, there would be hell to pay. And I think
Uh-huh.
about, and I say like even like, you think about like pimping, which has its greatest effect in exploitation for females. The grooming, the the game, the rules, the enforcement mechanisms, the culture that makes it all work. Like that was happening for us young men too.
Mhm.
It was just, it just wasn't, we weren't just selling our bodies, we were selling dope, we were selling
Uh-huh.
crack. And the rules, spoken or unspoken, the culture, the culture of enforcement, the violence of it all, the violence of it, man. Uh, yeah, man. I mean, at some point, you just kind of ended up, kind of having your parents, kind of find a way to shield you from it, which was incredibly difficult, doable, but rare. Like some people would kind of move their kids out, even
Mhm.
though they were effectively living there. Like the kids would go to school elsewhere, or get your kids so involved that they ain't got time to even kind of uh, be snatched. Um, and then beyond that, like uh, you're a fish. You're in the water. You know, some of that stuff is going to nourish you. Some of it is
Uh-huh.
straight poison, bro.
When did you find yourself actually officially in the gang culture? Not just around it, but like officially in it.
I mean, I think, I think it was not too long after we got back to Compton, really, because I'm one of six, second to the youngest, and for a long
Uh-huh.
time I was the youngest, and so I was like a mascot. I used that term before. I'll use it again. Where like running around with my brothers, especially my older brothers, especially like I watched my brothers really, just kind of carve out space and earn respect. Like I
Mhm.
watched them, go from, oh man, we don't know what's going on. Like this is new, this is crazy. Like I watched them to go from that to like, okay, I'm standing here, I ain't backing up no more. Like what's the angle? You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? I watched them kind of carve that out, and I'm there too.
Mhm.
I'm a little kid, but I'm watching them, and so in a lot of ways, like I didn't get into it like other people.
Gotcha.
So I never got put on, jumped in, whatever
Mhm.
term you want to use, to anybody's set. It was just like, I'm there. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, and I remember one of the big homies at some point, I don't remember how old I was. The homie Big Mill, rest in peace. He just loved my brothers, man. Wasn't even from the same set that they was from, but he just loved them. Like it was like they were his. And
Mhm.
at some point, I remember him telling me, "You my protege." I didn't even know what the word meant.
Uh-huh.
Like just giving me some love, like, and I felt that protection, you know. And I'm seeing the violence, I'm seeing it, but I kind of felt that protection.
Mhm.
But then, it ain't that much protection in the world. You know what I mean? So at some point, uh, you know, regardless of what kind of reputation my father carved out, regardless of, you know, the envelope that I'm in because of my brothers, or, you know, a G like Big Mill, like I'm gonna get my fair share, you know what I mean? And so, you know, I'm in it. But here's the trick, and I used to tell myself like a bad story, like I used to tell myself a faulty story. And
Uh-huh.
I think in part because that was kind of what was reflected back to me. And I thought that that's what needed to be told, but it was so wrong. Like I used to tell myself like, oh, you know, I kind of made it through because I was tough.
Uh-huh.
And it's not true. Like, I think one of the most important things about me that helped me make it through beyond the the kind of magic and mystery of God was that I was sensitive,
Hmm.
and I never went completely numb, bro.
Okay. Okay.
Like I never lost sensitivity. I would always be feeling stuff. Like even when I was like doing something crazy, like in a moment, like kind of the rage and adrenaline would kind of calm down.
Mm.
Where I had saw other cats that had turned it off. Like I never could turn it off. So it was always with me, and so that made it such where even when I was in, like I never was all the way in.
Okay.
You know, never. Like I was present and all at the same time. Like I could kind of pull back too and be like, nah, that's too far.
Uh-huh.
Not all the time,
Gotcha.
but a, enough. Does that make sense?
Total sense. You have no idea how grateful I am to even have this interview. And I want to tell us a little short story. I remember after we graduated, I don't remember if it was our freshman year, sophomore year, but I ran into you. We were working for J.C. Penney,
Yeah, JC Penney
and
warehouse.
we were loading trucks.
Wet,
And I remember one day for
wet.
break, I'm just walking around the corner and I see you. And I look, because I had the image of Billy Ross from high school, saggy pants, running with the crew, talking real tough. And when I saw you, you look so at peace, and you just were a completely different. You had lost a lot of weight, and you
Yeah.
just had a different persona about you. It was just, I knew you were a different person. And I remember being like, Billy? And
Mm,
since that day, man, I've been so intrigued about your life.
mm.
What was it from the time we graduated high school until I think we probably were about 20 years old or something? Or you can tell it better than I. What was it when you came to that point where you're like, you know what? I'm completely done. This is not it.
I think when you saw me, I think that you saw me. Uh, it wasn't so much that I was brand new. I was becoming who I was.
Hmm.
I had become more of who I actually was. So like that movie Jungle Book, where you got Mowgli.
Yeah, yeah.
He's he's uh he's raised by wolves, but he's not a wolf.
A great
And so he's
analogy.
kind of bouncing around trying to figure out who he is, and turns out he's a human being,
Uh-huh.
and his home is in the man village. So uh, yeah, like what you saw when you saw me is that I was really coming into myself, and I had the privilege of coming into myself because I had survived long enough.
Hmm.
Because I mean, we you know, we had friends that died. They were like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Even, you know, before they had a chance to even get hair on their face,
Yeah.
or, you know, learn how to really love somebody, you know, like they just dead, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I had the privilege of living long enough to start really coming into myself, start to come into myself, and to be specific in terms of the question. I can pinpoint it, bro. I remember the homie from Mona Park got murdered. I think he got murdered a year to the date that he got out of jail. And I remember going to his funeral. His mom was walking to the casket with his little brother. She screamed. And the way that she screamed, it just cut through me, man. And I heard my own mama.
Ooh.
And I saw my own little brother. I remember I was supposed to go looking for a job, me and the homie from Farm Dog. We were supposed to go job searching. My mom was so proud one morning. It's like, okay, Billy about to turn it around. I meet the homie. We jump in his canary yellow coupe. I think we went to a funeral home. They had a job open. I don't know, it was something stupid. And we sit in the parking lot like, you want to do this? We look at each other like, hell no, we don't want to do this. We ended up at one of his cousin's house. We left cousin's house with 2 burners that we didn't have. We ended up in my car. We had picked up 2 of the homies, both of them from Kelly Park. Me and the homie from the farms is in the front, they in the back. And we went to go get some liquor. Across the street, I saw some dudes that had flexed on us like a few months back. And I told the homie from the farms, like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what I want to do. Like, I'm gonna pull out, I'm gonna bustle you. And then when I pull up in the driveway, just get off on them. And that's what we did. The gun jammed up. And he was trying to get it back popping. And they figured out we wasn't shooting no more. So they started shooting at us. So I took off. I hit the cone. I'm going through the alley. They pursuing us. I crashed my car. I guess at some point they saw it was you know how in the neighborhoods back then people would hang out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially on certain blocks, like at the park, whatever, like people would be out. So they backed off of us. I remember I dropped them off at the park. I pulled up in my house. I was so mad and disoriented. I ran into my own fence. My car is already wrecked. I ran into my own fence, pulling up into the driveway, trying to pull on the side of the house. I come out of the car, slam the door, kick my car. Like, I'm just full of rage. I got in the house, and my mama saw me. I saw my mama. She just shook her head and walked away. She didn't say nothing to me. I wish, like, I could. It would have been better if she would have hauled off and slapped me.
Right.
And start punching me in the face. Like, I would have preferred more to have that than to have the feeling that even my mama has given up on me.
Oh, wow.
And so I think when I was at the funeral and I heard my mama scream like that, I was like, something just. And I remember, like, after the funeral, like, dudes was plotting and scheming. And at some point, we figuring out who getting in what car, how it's gonna work. And somebody got at me, and I was like, man, I'm done. Like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm done. They took off. I started walking home.
You have no idea how much I'm grateful. I never even heard this story. But when I saw you that day at JCPenney, and I always considered myself to be a pretty good dude, and I was always on track. I never was in trouble. But when I saw you, and you didn't say much, it was just the way you were carrying yourself. When I saw you, I was convicted. I was like, dang, Atlas, you need to get your act together. I mean, like I said, I was never in a lot of trouble, but I was doing a little stupid stuff and trying to
Mhm.
enjoy life because now I got my little
Hard to
taste of
be in that
freedom and
environment and not be affiliated in some way.
right. But then I saw you and I was like, that's Billy. I was, my mind was blown. I'm like, what happened? Because that's not the Billy I know. And from that day, like that gave me that gave me a standard like to up my game. Sometimes people tend to think like, oh, I'm good, my life is perfect. I was like, that gave me another something to strive for because I saw where you were and what you have become. To this day, I always tell people about your story, just the little piece that I know. And I was like, that is amazing. If he can make that kind of change, then there's always space in my life to make some kind of improvement. It made me feel like there's never an end goal. There's always like, okay, I've accomplished something, but now I need to strive for something more because like that was just amazing to me. I had
Uh,
never seen anybody make that change at that soon in life. And so that was like it was your testimony, but I use it as a testimony.
mhm.
That's how much of an impression that moment had on me.
That's wild. Because that's like if you think about the way that religion works, like even if it's especially if it's like in the in the vein of some kind of evangelical tradition, like there's the rhetoric of it, but then there's the modeling of it.
Yeah.
And so, you think about how the Christian scriptures talk about, making fishermen of men. You know, that wasn't just about rhetoric, it was about modeling, it was about kind of being the light, you know. Uh, like it was like Jesus wasn't like, follow me and make good arguments. He was just literally like, follow me, you know what I mean? Like count the cost, like do what I do, move how I move. That's how he was
Mhm,
doing it. And so I think especially at that time, like I don't know, not at that time.
mhm.
I wasn't trying to, convict Atlas
But
or be a mirror for Atlas.
that was the beauty of it though. You didn't say very much. Like we just reconnected. I think we might have exchanged numbers. That was all it
Mhm.
took. I
We
just saw
definitely reconnected through that job.
right, right. I just saw how you
Yes.
were moving. And it was like, well, you didn't need to say nothing. And that
Hmm.
was enough for me because I saw that that was your actual walk. You weren't talking, you weren't trying to proselytize, you weren't trying to preach, you weren't trying to do none of that. You just were, I mean, I think you probably was just about to go sit down and eat your lunch or something.
Hmm.
And those few minutes, might have been 15 minutes max, because we had to
Hmm.
get back to work.
Hmm.
That touched my life, man. I like that made such an impression on me.
But it was so dope for me to reconnect with cats like you, because even at the D high, like I kind of navigated a lot of worlds. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I have to be, this is where my ego, like I said, I had been telling myself the wrong stories about like how that was possible. It wasn't because I was like so smart and creative, or whatever. Surely, you know, we have to give ourselves a fair amount of credit for
Mhm,
how we move and who we are. But so like it was in part because I was involved in some of that stuff, but I was also very protected too.
mhm,
And I think that left me a degree of flexibility that uh, a lot of other cats didn't have.
mhm,
And I had a daddy who wasn't emotionally present, but he was physically present.
mhm.
Um, that is a thing. And when we first got back to Compton, like we were getting public assistance, we were on the county and whatnot, whatever. But like they got out of that hole quick. So we weren't in a position where our basic needs weren't getting met. Uh, but anyway, like when I reconnected with you, that was super dope, timely, and beautiful because it allowed me to kind of bridge the space because I had become walled off in a way
Oh,
from some
okay.
other more positive, constructive aspects of my environment.
Hmm.
And uh, after going through a transformation and saying I'm changing, me reconnecting with a cat like you was a hella blessing, was a blessing because that could help me to facilitate the change that I had already started.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Because you just represented one of those. You just a positive dude, man. Like I mean, as long as I've known you, you've been a positive dude. You've had good intentions, and you have followed through. Like you're just a good dude. And so yeah, for me also, it was a blessing.
Mhm. With all of that being said, do you have any regrets?
You live long enough, man. You just gonna get your fair share. And you
Uh-huh.
can relate to this. You don't have to be involved in gangs. You don't have to be a criminal. You live long enough, you're just gonna make bad decisions. Um, you're gonna make bad decisions when you knew there were better options.
Hmm.
And I guess you should have some regrets.
How did you get into real estate?
Uh, man, I got beat up, got my hat handed to me in a social service gig that I thought was gonna be super dope, and my ego was so hurt. I could have went back to social services, but I think my ego was so hurt. I was like, I'm gonna take all these little pieces of my heart and I'm gonna rebuild it into something better. Show them. So that looked like real estate. I started off in appraisal, '06, got my broker's license in '07. The market started to tank, so I couldn't make money in
Hmm.
appraisal anymore. I wasn't getting referrals, so I said, let me try my hand in sales.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to give a shameless plug. What's the name of the realty company?
So my my brokering business is under my name. If you look up Billy Ross Realtor, you'll see BillyRossRealtor.com, and then that'll be what's happening there. The new entity I just formed is called Acuity, EQCUITY, and Acuity is a combination of terms, equity and acuity. And
Hmm.
so equity is ownership, and acuity is clarity and the capacity for clarity. And this entity will be active in the community development space, doing strategy work, doing consultant work, and
Hmm.
also doing our own development. And so, yeah, man, I'm excited. Feels good.
Man, that is awesome. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm happy for you. And then I also want to let the audience know Billy also does music. Do you have
Aha,
any? I want you to give a shame, and if you don't, I
aha,
am. He also has music on YouTube. Is
aha.
there a YouTube channel?
Man, I ain't even. I kind of worked it out of my system this chapter. Sometimes I just get something and it's on my heart and I do it, and that's enough. I think that's what this iteration was about, especially because I had an opportunity to work with my sons on
Uh,
this. And so, shameless plug that music is under the name Ton Enod, Tonenod. Ton Enod backwards is not done.
awesome.
And so
Awesome.
I did some music with my sons and pushed that out. And that is again, it was It's one of those things where, if it's on my heart, I'm gonna do it. If not, I'm moving on. I think I've kind of moved on from it.
Man, well, Billy, I want to thank you so much. This has been a blessing for me. I have my buddy Billy Ross, established realtor, musician, businessman, entrepreneur. Throw it all in there. Thank you for taking the time, man. I appreciate you. Hopefully, I can get back to you and do something else one of these days. But man, you be blessed, and thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
It's a blessing, bro. Thank you.
Hey, man, take it easy.
Is there